Now, Russia has vetoed a draft UN Security Council resolution that would have deplored its invasion of Ukraine. 11 members voted for the US drafted text, while China, India, and the United Arab Emirates abstained. Well, for more, we can cross live to New York and speak to France 24's Jessica Le Mesurier. Jessica, you've been following that vote. Russia, of course, vetoing the resolution, but were there any surprises in today's session?
Well, not really surprises, but you could say that for a while there were some questions about which way Brazil would vote. It was seen as a sort of a swing voter, and it supported this resolution. So you might say that that's somewhat of a surprise. And there were also questions as to how China would vote. Would it take an even harder line and vote against the resolution, but it abstained? This is not quite the sort of spectacle of isolation that the United States was hoping for, but it did get 11 votes in favour. But then perhaps you could argue that those abstentions show that countries don't all see eye to eye on how to deal with this situation. The US Ambassador Linda Thomas-Greenfield, after the vote, said, directed at Russia, well, you can veto a resolution, but you can't veto our voices and you can't veto accountability. And she said that now this resolution will be taken to the General Assembly, where, of course, there is no veto.
And what does this outcome mean then for Vladimir Putin?
Well, it does show to an extent that the world strongly disapproves of what he is doing in Ukraine. It sends a strong message. Western powers said they wanted this Security Council meeting to be a message for Ukraine, for Ukrainians, showing that the majority of the world supports them during this terrible time and has their back. And also a message, Western powers said, for those Russian protesters who've been brave enough to go out into the streets and shout no war, their own peril. A message really to show that the world is behind Ukraine. But the fact that we didn't see more votes in favour of this resolution will be of concern to the United States. And also it's important to look at China's position. Before the vote, the US ambassador said some things which seemed to be directed at China. She said, we have an obligation to object to those who say it's complicated. And that is essentially what China has said during these council meetings, in particular during the last one. That is a clear cop-out. There is no middle ground, she said.
OK, Jessica, thank you very much for that. Jessica Le Mesurier there speaking to us from New York.